Shazam. Zachary, I gotta say, one of the nicest, coolest, most humble, genuine people that you will ever meet. Anyone agree with that? I was so happy when I found out that he was cast as Shazam. Obviously, you went to theaters to see Shazam, I take it. Amazing, fun, incredible film. Shot it in my hometown. I'm from Toronto, and so shout out to Toronto. Any Canadians here, by the way? Nobody. 2 people. All right, so before we bring them out, let's take a little look at some of Zachary's work, shall we?
What are your superpowers? Superpowers, dude? I don't even know how to pee in this thing.
Authenticity.
Not this one. How you doing? My name's Flynn Ryan. Anyone who makes people think for themselves is very dangerous. I am great. They just can't get my nose right.
Zachary and Levi, everybody! Hi, everybody! Let's give it up for our ESL here, everybody. Please. ESL's a different thing. Oh, there's a cup of water here. That's definitely gonna get spilled. So, that's for anybody in the front row who might get parched. Hi, what's going on? How you doing, Orlando? Right! Oh, you made it. I love you too, bro. Who's been to a Zach panel before? Anybody show before? A few of you. So, who has not been to a Zach panel? Pretty much everybody else. Well, I'm so grateful that you guys have taken time out of your Megacon schedule to spend it with me during this, what will be Stephen Amell, just FYI. I don't know if anybody went to Stephen Amell's panel, which you should have, he's a lovely guy, but Stephen took way too long in his panel, so that screwed the entire schedule up. As you know, you've been sitting out there patiently waiting for ours. But, since I'm the last panel of the day, I think I can go as long as I want, so... Good? Oh, nice. So, but if you've been to a panel of mine, you would know this. If you haven't been to a panel of mine, you're about to find out. I don't do any moderation of any kind. I just want to do fan Q&A and ask you guys kind of what's, what questions that are burning a hole in your pocket. So, I guess we have 2 mics, one there and one there. And I'll start with this one right here. Hi.
Hello,
What's your
Sean.
name, darling?
I am Deanna. Nice meeting you.
Hi, Deanna. Nice to meet you too.
I have a question for you.
I would hope so. You're standing at the question mark.
You can travel back in time, talk to 14-year-old you. You
Yeah.
need to tell him. You have a computer put in your head. You've been a freaking superhero, and most importantly, you introduced the world to the Smolda.
Yeah.
You think he would believe you?
I'm sorry?
You think he would believe you?
Would 14-year-old me believe me that I got to do all those things?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm a really honest guy. And I think honest young me would look at honest old me and go, I got you, boo. So, thank you. Excellent question. Oh, you have another one.
Incorrect. You are a nerd. You should know. You should not time travel. So.
Well, hold on a second. What is this trick question race?
You are the king of the nerds. You should know these things.
First of all, we don't know exactly what time travel is going to do or not do in the space-time continuum. We have a lot of theories about this, but if Back to the Future has taught us anything, is that it can also be pretty cool, and I can get a hoverboard out of it. And thank you very much, I appreciate that. Next question over here. Hi.
Hi. So I have a question.
What's your name?
Atticus.
Hi, Atticus. Oh, Atticus, hi! I met you already.
Yes, you did.
Hi.
Hi, what's up? Okay.
What's up?
So you're a really bubbly person, right?
Am I?
So I just want to know how you always keep your optimism up and stay happy, because I struggle with that.
Oh, cheers, darling. Well, listen, let me make it very clear that I'm not always happy. I'm not always bubbly and optimistic. I'm an extrovert's extrovert, so when you guys all meet me, at the table or in photo ops, or at this panel or whatever, I'm literally supercharging off of your energy right now. If any other extroverts out there, you understand this. You can really feed on that. By the way, and you introverts out there understand how soul-sucking it can be sometimes when you're around too many people and you're like, oh my God, I'm dying right now. And you're out. But for me, because I'm an extrovert, I don't get drained so much like that, and I'm very grateful to God that He created me in this way because it allows me to come and do conventions like this and still, kind of be upbeat. Yeah, that's right. And as you probably know, if you've been to my table, that I also bring a speaker all the time. So one tip I find, and by the way, they teach you this in therapy too, self-care and self-love. I don't know if you guys have ever dug into this for yourselves, but I highly encourage you to do so. If you have not ever heard of the concept of it, or you think you're loving yourself, but you're not really sure, go check it out, because we all need to love ourselves so deeply. It's going to change the world, I swear to God. But part of self-care and self-love is finding things that genuinely make you happy. So music, for me, makes me very happy. I love music. I think music makes life better in every way, shape, and form. So that's part of the reason I bring a speaker, because that helps me stay happy, and I think it helps other people stay happy. All of the therapy that I've done in my life. How old are you, darling?
I'm 17.
17, okay. Well, listen, I would also say that it's never too early to start therapy, okay? So, for real, I mean it. Because all therapy is, I think, as far as I can tell, is trying to understand who you really are, what is reality, actual reality, and how do we all fit into that together. And the more we don't understand that or don't quite conceive of it, the more we rub on that, and that can bring a lot of unhappiness. But the more we can understand that, the more we can be at peace and the happier we can be. So I'm so grateful that I finally went through such incredible life-changing, life-saving therapy to teach me a lot of that stuff. And then on top of all of that, along with that, my spirituality is what keeps me probably the most happy, because I feel very connected to God. I feel very connected to all of you guys. I feel very present. Again, going through therapy helped me to do a lot of that stuff too. And that brings a lot of gratitude. Gratitude is one of the craziest, coolest superpowers you can ever practice in your life. Empathy and gratitude and humility and trust. Go live that, and you will be a happier person, I promise you.
Thank you so much.
I promise you. Water? And who's next over here?
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Hannah Zender.
Hi, nice to see you. You got a little furry guy on your shoulder there, and it moves around. That's true, yeah.
So my question, going back a few years, is if you had your own interpretation of what happens after the kiss in the season finale of Chuck, and what that would be.
Well, I've said this before. I have said this before. And anybody who's ever asked me this, I'll tell you the same thing. Well, how many Chuck fans are in the audience? All right, a couple of you. First of all, thank you. How many people started watching Chuck? There's no wrong answer to this. I just love asking this question. How many people started watching Chuck when it first started on TV? Okay. How many people found Chuck later on Netflix or Amazon? Okay. Well, you're all welcome. I'm happy anytime anybody finds it. I think it's a delightful show. But part of that, to that extent, because it's a delightful show, because the show, no matter how harebrained some of those plots or schemes or bad guys or, me never staying in the car, all of those things, did it ever not work out? No. It never didn't work out, because the show ultimately was about heart and hope and things doing right, and then good would come from doing right. So in my estimation, and I'm pretty sure this is what I hope what other people feel, is that that kiss worked at the end. Yeah. By the way, and if it didn't, let's say, I believe that, Morgan would want us to believe, if it somehow didn't magically work, the whole point, I think, of that ending, if you think about it, is kind of like you get to now watch the show over again as if it's Chuck telling Sarah all of those memories and all of that life together, which I think is really romantic and beautiful. So either way, to me, it's a win. It's definitely still a positive, upbeat ending, even if it feels like a shot in the face. That's what it feels like. Excellent question. And back over here. Hi.
Hi. You've played a hero character in both the Marvel and DC universe.
Go on.
If you could play a villain character in each universe, who would you want to play?
I love the things that, like, the nerds are like, ooh, what is he possibly going to say? Well, I've said many times before that Deadpool was my favorite villain in the Marvel Universe. He's now an anti-hero, I understand that, but not when I found him. He was definitely a villain back then, and I would love to play Deadpool, except Ryan is doing that very, very astutely. And then in the DC Universe, I don't know. Sorry, what?
Nightwing!
Who? Nightwing? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm kind of already Shazam though, you know what I did for a minute. I thought if The Rock ever was like, you know what, I'm too busy and I'm not gonna play Black Adam. I was like, you know what I could do? It's like, because they're both, I mean, they're supposed to be twinsies anyway, right? Just with slightly different stylists. And so I was like, well, that could be kind of cool, you know, because it's probably like the really dark version of myself, essentially. So I would say that. But La Roca is playing that role, so, you know, there you go. Yeah, cheers. Excellent question. And what's over here? What's over here? Behind door number 2.
Hi, my name's Mike.
Mike, nice to meet you. What's that?
So,
You doing okay?
yeah, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm fantastic, brother. Honestly, I'm living almost every one of my dreams. Standing here right now is because I got to be, I mean, amongst many roles, but I've literally gotten to ever since I was a little kid, I grew up being a superhero, right? I mean, how many of you are still dreaming about being a superhero? Because I still secretly hope that my genes have mutated in the night and I can suddenly teleport, right? So, the fact that I get to stand on stages like this and talk to lovely folks like you and that you all line up and wait so long. If you haven't been to my panel or if you haven't been to my tables, you haven't heard me say this, but I mean this. It's not lost on me that you guys spend a lot of money coming here and supporting all of us schmucko actors. It's not lost on me at all. You wait long hours and you pay good money for us to then sit there and scribble on photos of ourselves. You know what I'm talking about? And I can't tell you how much I appreciate every single one of your seconds of your time, your units of your energy, and your coins of your monetary expansion. I love you and I'm so grateful for all of you. So thank you for that. And so, to answer your question, I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks.
Now, for the actual question.
Yes, what's the actual? Let's get to the nitty gritty here, bro.
So few shows and movies, like especially things like Tangled, that are usually just a one-off, ever get the chance to continue that story, and even fewer get to continue it with these same actors. Like, was there really a major difference between recording the movie as opposed to the TV show, or was it sort of like falling into more of the same thing?
I mean, I feel like, first of all, thanks, man. I mean, look, when I was a kid growing up, I grew up on Disney Channel, like, you know, mainline, hardcore. Anybody else, 80s kids, like just nothing right? Yeah. Cable was crazy back then because it was like all the big like networks and everybody in studios are like, cable, what's cable? I don't know, grab it. And then they would have a station, they would have a channel, and they didn't know what the hell to do with it. So like, Disney was just throwing on all of the vaults. Like, I saw everything, all the things that cost us like hundreds of dollars for like the DVD or whatever. It's like, they were just streaming it. It was like Pecos Bill and all that jazz. So good. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, as a kid of that time, and going through the incredible Disney Renaissance, and you know, starting with Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and all that jazz, I love those movies, and I was really miffed when I was a kid, and I would start watching the TV show on Disney Channel, and I was like, that's not their voices! These are not the real people! Like, right? It would piss me right off. I was like, what? Robin Williams is too busy to be the genie? was stoked when they came back and said, hey, we want to do a Tangled series, but they came to me and Mandy first and said, we only really want to do it if you two want to sign on. And Mandy and I both talked about it and thought about it, and we're like, look, if you do it, I'll do it. And Chris Sonnenberg, I mean, literally, I don't know how many of you watched the Tangled series, but it's a really, really excellent cartoon. And the heart of it, and the writing for it, and the direction of it is very, very in line with and on par with what we had in the movie. So it does kind of feel like you're just continuing that, but it's a lot more work because we only had 2 hours or so to fill, or 90 minutes for the film, and now we've done 3 seasons, or you've seen 2 seasons. The third season's about to come up, but that's a lot more to do with it. But that's so much fun, particularly when you get to be Flynn Rider, bro. Or Eugene Fitzherbert, for those who know. He's such a fun role to play. What's that? I'll think about it. I'm not a monkey. Dance, monkey, dance. It's so easy. You guys are an easy crowd. So yeah, it's been great, man. It's different, but it's very similar, and we got literally like everybody back from the original series, or from the film. So it's been a really cool experience. Great question. Thanks, brother. Yes, over here. Hi, Blondie. Breathe.
You're incredible, and you're my favorite Disney prince.
Thank you. You have excellent taste.
My question is, now that Eugene knows where he comes from, where do you see his character going?
I can't tell you.
Hashtag spoiler alert. Spoiler
I
alert.
want to see him.
Exactly where I ended up going, which you will find out. You're welcome. And over here. I'm getting my steps in, guys.
Hello, my name's Becky.
Hi, Becky.
I would like to know if any fan has ever given you a pan since you've done Tangled.
If any fan has given me a pan?
Yes, and if not, what is the craziest gift a fan
I
has
know
given
what
you?
pan she's talking about. Continue.
My question was, if they haven't given you a pan, what is the craziest gift a fan has ever given you?
A child. Everyone's like, oh my God! I don't know. What's the craziest thing a fan has ever given me? I don't know. I mean, typically what I get are just really lovely notes, or like, depending on the country I go to or the city I go to, some representation of that, a gift that kind of represents that of the person themselves, or lots of incredible fan art. Thank you so much for all the time that you guys continue to spend on drawing or coloring pictures of this mug. I mean, it's super fun. Those are, just so you know, and anyone who gives me these, I let you know, I typically sign those and I auction those off for charity, because if you think about it, and I just need to go with me here, it's a very weird position to be in as a celebrity at a table getting art of yourself, because the first thing is like, oh my God, that's so lovely. The second thought is, what do I do with this? Because the only way for me to keep it is to build a shrine of myself in my home, which I can't do that. I just can't. But it's so cool to see that stuff. But as far as like crazy gifts, I don't know, like some weird foods sometimes. And some people they make you like homemade cookies and things like that, which is so kind, but there's always that off chance that they might be completely crazy and they put some drugs in it, which would be super cool. So I don't know, stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, my pleasure, yeah. And by the way, nobody has given me a pan, but plenty of people bring the pans by for me to sign. I'm quite good at signing frying pans. That's right, I signed your frying pan. I didn't sign your frying pan.
Security took her.
Security took your frying
I
pan?
wouldn't let her bring it in.
What? How many other people brought frying pans with them? You guys didn't get stopped. What were you doing with your pan? We'll talk about that later. Yes.
Hello again.
Hello again.
I just wanted to ask that since you are a Disney prince,
Yeah.
if you get
to go to the parks, what is your favorite Disney ride?
Well, if I get to go to the park, I mean, of course I get. Doesn't everybody get to go to the park? That would really suck. It's like, hey, welcome to the Disney family. Now you're officially uninvited. No longer come. They do, when I'm actively working with Disney, they have been very gracious and helped me and my family out, and got to get passes and stuff like that, which has been very nice. I have never been to Disney World as well. I'm a Southern California kid.
We'll take you.
Calm down. How many of you guys have been to Disneyland? Hands down, hands down. How many of you people have not been to Disneyland? Well, see, when you point at somebody else, 4 fingers are pointing right back at you. It's not that I don't want to go to Disney World, guys. I didn't have a lot of money growing up. We lived in California for my time. God. Anyway. By the way, I'm just letting you know, if you've never been to a Zach battle, occasionally an F-bomb will drop. Occasionally I might cry. Occasionally you might cry. So I would love to go to Disney World at some point, but because me and my entire family, like my sisters and cousin and everyone, we're all big time Disney nerds, none of us have been, so I'm waiting for my first time with the rest of my family. That's why I haven't been to Disney World. I know, I'm such a great person. As far as favorite ride at Disney, because I've not been to Disney World, I can't incorporate all of those rides into it, but my favorite ride at Disneyland is the Jungle Cruise. That is my favorite ride. And I'm going to tell you why. I think the Jungle Cruise is the best because it's one of the only rides that actually has true variation every single time you ride it, and it's all brought to you by an actual human being, and it is roughly 11 minutes of dad joke stand-up. It's completely up my alley, and I'm waiting with bated breath every time I hear a new joke over that horrible PA system. Like, oh my God, no. I need to work on those freaking PA systems, for real. That's my favorite ride.
Thank you, I'm glad you enjoyed the backside of water.
Yeah, the backside of water! Who are the falls named after? Schweitzer. That was, as a kid, it was one of the first jokes I got. It was like, these are the famous Schweitzer Falls, named after the famous Mr. Falls. I was like, what? Who's he gonna take me the derail? Oh, man. Come on, Ellen.
If you were stuck in a zombie apocalypse...
I've thought about this scenario,
with all the characters you've ever portrayed, excluding Shazam...
Oh, come on!
Which one would you want to team up with and why?
Shazam! Just like electrocute all of the zombies. I don't know, well, if Fandral was a demigod, so thank you. And dashing to boot. So I think he'd probably fare well against the zombie apocalypse. I think Chuck would do pretty good against the zombie apocalypse. With Intersect, seeing as how he is without. Not so much. Unless I had Casey around. He could just grunt a lot in the zombie. I don't know, I'm trying to think of some other rules. Luke from Heroes Reborn was pretty powerful. He could probably do that. So I don't know. I guess, you understand, I'm actually trying to, what is the best? Who would I think it's Fandral. I think I'd have to go with Fandral. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Yeah, sure. Yes, sir. Hi.
I graduate next week from high school.
Congratulations. You graduate from high school?
Yes.
Congratulations.
If your line wasn't capped, I would have actually brought my yearbook for you to sign.
Oh! KIT, see you next summer.
But in lieu of that, because I assume you're not going to be back at the table after the panel.
I am back at the table after the panel.
Let's do this, okay? But
bro, I'm here for you.
Great.
I'm literally. That's why I'm right.
Thank you.
Isn't that why we're all here right now?
Yeah. So I'll see you after the panel.
Fantastic.
What advice would you give to somebody, since Shazam was sort of a movie about somebody small finding their way in a big world? What advice would you give to somebody whose chapter of their life is ending as a new one begins? No pressure.
greatest lessons I've learned in my life is trust and patience. Be patient with yourself. You are worthy of being patient with yourself. You deserve to be patient with yourself. You owe yourself to be patient with yourself and to love yourself deeply. Even when you might not feel that around you from other people in your life or your circles or whatever that is not an indication of how worthy you are as an individual, okay? So never, ever, ever let go of that. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself.
I'm eternally grateful.
You're welcome. Okay, continue. But then beyond that, trust. I'm a firm believer in a creator. I know not everybody is, but to me, trusting in that creator is a very important thing because I think, again, humility. Know that you are this big. We're all this big. By the way, that helps a lot with anxiety, just so you know. If you're feeling stressed or anxious or anything like that or depressed, if you can get yourself around on the idea that you're really just a teeny little part of eons of history and people and Homo sapien and all of the incredible history that this planet has had, we're just a teeny little bit. So you're not failing your place in life. You are doing your place in life. You are living your place in life, and you are worthy of occupying the space that you live in. You know what I mean? So trust that in that there is some crazy plan that's going on that doesn't seem, most of the time, the journey we're on doesn't feel like it makes a hell of a lot of sense, right? Or, things are happening to us, bad things are happening to us. We're like, why is this happening to me? And one of the greatest quotes I've ever seen is, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's something along the lines of, all these things are going wrong in my life, and that's crossed out, and what are the lessons I'm supposed to learn in my life? And if you can get to that place as you're going into this world of being an adult and the workforce and college and all that stuff, be patient, be kind to yourself, know that you're not failing if you somehow, society is like, why aren't you doing this thing? Fuck that, bro, okay? Yes. Know that you are on your journey, and then there's a creator that loves you so intensely and has plans for you that you have no idea how big it is. No water? No? It's right there. It's right there. Hi, what's your name?
Kristen.
Kristen, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. First, I would like to say that when me and my brother first found out you were going to be cast as Shazam, we saw it and we went, that's perfect. Like,
thanks,
he
man.
is the grown-up nerd we all inspire to be.
You got that right, bro.
My question is what was your initial reaction to finding out you were going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3?
Somebody just found out. What was my reaction to Kingdom Hearts 3? I mean, I was very grateful. I mean, I have never played the Kingdom Hearts franchise, but I know how beloved it is and how much work goes into each one of those titles, and I love that it's like all of the Disney kingdom all coming together and all these missions and worlds that you get to explore. And I knew how dear it was to a lot of people who are Kingdom Hearts fans. And because I was seeing a lot of those tweets and whatnot, being like, are you going to be playing the Kingdom Hearts or what? Are you going to be... And I was like, I don't know. Nobody's called me yet. I don't know. So when they did, I really appreciate it. The same reason, like, going back to the cartoon series, you know? Like, I appreciate when they go to the original town and give us an opportunity to do that. As far as I know, there is not one sampling... No, that's not true. I was going to say, there's not one sampling of Flynn's voice that's not me. It could be Disney on Ice, and I'm like, I'm doing it. What am I saying? Great, done, great. So it was very cool to be able to do that. The one exception that I know of now, and it was really actually kind of heartbreaking, was I was at Disneyland, and we were watching Fantasmic. Do you guys have Fantasmic at Disney World as well? Yeah. Do you have like the rafts come by with the different princes and princesses in the middle of there? Yeah. Well, I don't know what's happening at Disney World, but at Disneyland, much to my chagrin, I was like sitting there with my whole friends and family, and here comes Rapunzel on their raft, and here comes them singing the song, and I'm like, that's not my voice anymore. So bummed me out. I was literally in a bad mood that night. Anyway, but to do Kingdom Hearts is pretty cool, for real. The weirdest thing about it though is that they literally, I just like re-recorded. Has anybody played Kingdom Hearts? I know some people have. But those are the exact same scenes from the movie. I was like, can't you just take the dialogue from the movie and put it in there? And they're like, no, we need to re-record it all entirely. I'm like, well, there's the magic. Nice question. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Let's go over here now.
Hi there, for Asgard.
For Asgard.
But I'm actually going to swerve a little bit and say
Straight up, huh?
I really loved seeing you in She Loves Me.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you have a favorite musical theater song, whether that be to audition with or just a favorite?
I mean, I love so many. You know what I'm really digging on recently? I saw Be More Chill and Michael in the Bathroom. Michael in the Bathroom is just, I mean, it's far and away the best song. It's like the 11 o'clock number in that show. And it's so good. And the guy who does it in the show is so good. I'm sorry? That's exactly right. George Salazar. You are correct. I knew that. But yeah, I would say that's pretty good. But I mean, the truth is I don't really know all that much Broadway because the only shows that I know are the ones that I did when I was like growing up doing like school theater and community theater, and then the ones that I've seen and the two that I've been in. But I did Big River years ago. Big River is the musical version of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and all the music's by Roger Miller, and it's one of my favorite shows still to this day. And I played Huck, naturally. And that, I think that score is so good. It's so good. So a lot of those songs in there I really love. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. And back over here.
Hi, my name's Isaac.
Hi.
I just want to say that originally when me and my brother, because we're huge Marvel and DC fans.
Weren't you just the Shazam the other day that came out of town?
I was.
Yeah, good to see you, bro.
So I was gonna say that came because after we saw the movie, I was like, we have to do it. So then I went to my mom. We bought the suits. When the suits came in, they were originally just a red jumpsuit, like different colors. I was like, I know this is gonna work, but my beautiful mother overnight. She cracked it all together, cut out the logos out of all the different costumes, put it all together and everything. So when we actually came to the convention and met you, and you took a picture of us and all that, I just want to say that it meant everything to us.
Well, bless you, brother. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being so cool and patient. You and your whole family are so lovely. Thank you.
Well, it was a beautiful experience, so we just appreciate you for that. That's all I wanted to say.
Bless you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hi, nerd.
I'm kind of trying not to cry and stuff.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a safe space to cry. You like crying, cry?
I just have to say this is really going to be fawning more than a question, but
I'm fine with that.
But you know how they say Mary Tyler Moore Show with the theme song that she could turn the world on with her smile?
Yeah.
I always feel that way about your smile. And even if I'm having a crappy day or something, my husband and I will put on the series, and whenever you're just like gleeful and stuff, it just emulates out of you, and you're just so joyful, and knowing all the stuff that you've been through and how you're sharing it with everyone so bravely, I think that's beautiful, and everything you've said has just been so moving. And I just want to thank you, seriously, for your honesty. And you deserve everything that
you have. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to. Told you. Sometimes I cry. It's my pleasure to observe this incredible platform and privilege that God has given me in my life, and to use it, every ounce of it, to try and make a positive impact in this world. That's what I'm doing. So thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate that. And then also, as far as my smile, I had a great orthodontist. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yes, over here. I hope you have something as nice to say as she did. Yes, Superman. What's that, bro?
Just want to say, I felt a real special connection with Chuck, because I feel like the same guy, you know, just a good guy trying to do the right thing, and I know just the character Chuck does. I'm not sure if you do, but I guess you do think.
Oh, I was barely acting in that show.
No. You do have a sister too, I think you said. So I was just saying, I also have a beautiful sister who's smart and intelligent and looks after me.
Yeah, isn't that great to have? I got 2 sisters that do that, and I love them.
It's the best. She's the best big sister in the whole world, which I tell her all the time, but it'd be great if she could see here and hear that.
Where is she now?
She's the best. Oh, at home.
She's the best. She's the best. I left her at home.
No!
I'm kidding. Well, what's her name?
Her name is Gladys Marie Antoinette.
Gladys Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. You tell Gladys Marie Antoinette that I said hello.
I will.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that you're so just a great, genuine, wonderful person. And I'm also a true believer in God, and you're just awesome.
Thank you, man. I aspire to be the best me I can be. That's it. Awesome. Thank you. Woo! Out-complimenting each other. I like this. What nice things that you have to say. You can start with my physique. Oops, I dropped the mic. Oh, stop it, you savages. I got it right. Yes, darling, how are you?
Shazam!
That is one of my many names.
I am a theater nerd.
Fantastic.
I've been to see Shazam 5 times.
Fantastic. Anybody out do 5 times? How many times? 4? You said that with such gusto. Anybody beat 5? Yeah! Wait, no, 5, no, sorry, 4, no. Anyway, 5's great, thank you.
Okay. I also have high school as a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
I made sure that all of my students were very aware of Shazam, and I encouraged them to go.
Extra credit?
Yes.
By the way, thank you for being a teacher. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, so do I.
Okay, so my question. When Peter arrives at the pearly gates, what will you say?
Wasn't Peter already there? I mean, when I arrive at the pearly gates?
Yes.
Copy that. If I'm there waiting on Peter, there's a problem. Where the hell is Peter then? Sleep at the wheel, this guy. People just sauntering in. Oh, no, Peter, I'm gonna get in. No bouncing at the door. I've never even had that scenario in my head, and it's delightful. You know what? So, what would he say? I mean, well, look, obviously, from a very kind of biblical Christian perspective, you want to hear those words, well done, good and faithful servants, you know. But, amen, and hallelujah. But, and if you guys could go with me for just a heartbeat really quick, and this might sound sacrilegious, but I'm a really firm believer, and I've become more of a firm believer in this. I've struggled with a lot of different concepts throughout struggled in good ways, but also in not so good ways, with my spirituality, my walk with God, and trying to understand it and myself and God more. And the truth is, I don't believe in the pearly gates. I believe in God's love, is what I believe in. And I believe that when the Bible says God so loved the world to send his son to do what he did, that all started with God loving everybody and forgiving everybody well before all of that. So I don't believe in that cordoned off. I believe that we are to go lead in love, to go be love, to go be conduits of love and light and life in this world. And if we can focus on that and not focus on making sure everybody hit all the requirements to make sure they could get through the gate, then we're going to have a really groovy world. That's what I think. Okay? Yes, sir. Hi.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
One of my questions is, what is your favorite experience at Megacon they had?
honestly, the whole thing's pretty great. Like I said before, I mean, this is I think life is so much about whether we're enjoying it or not enjoying it comes down to our mindset, right? And our context and perspective about what we're doing. And what I try to do is live in gratitude and find myself in a position where I now get to, like, this is all, there's a lot of fun to be had here, but I love that as somebody who loves feeling joy and bringing joy, every single person that comes by my table or comes out of the photo booth or here at the panel, if you felt joy, then I felt good. I felt good about doing what I think my job is on this planet, which is to be a joy bringer and make people feel good in their lives and feel valued and seen. So every moment, like, I mean, not to get too, not that we haven't been getting philosophical, but that I love all of that, you know. I mean, to be honest, I think the panels are kind of my favorite thing because I feel like we get to all know each other the best in this. The photo ops, as you guys know, it's like, and that's it, you know, it's like a really quick deal. And appreciate everybody for complying with that and understanding we're trying to get to so many people. And then when you come to the table, we have a little more time to see each other and get to know one another. But this is a really cool opportunity, I think, to just like, say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what how my heart beats and what it beats for. So I'd say this right now, this moment, this is my favorite. Cheers. Yes, sir.
So one of my favorite parts of Shazam was basically the transformation from Billy to Shazam and vice versa.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I loved it was that I never lost sight that it was, you know, the same character. So I guess really what I'm wondering is how that prep work went in with you and Asher. Did you just shadow each other?
I mean, that was basically 37 years of not growing up. That's what that was. That was resisting growing up in a lot of ways. Not all of it. I mean, I do believe that as, you know, we become adults, there is responsibility. You need to take care of yourself. You need to be responsible for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you differently. You are responsible for yourself, and that's good, because if we can all be responsible for ourselves and not depending on everybody else to be responsible for us, unless it's your job, parents, then that can be a beautiful thing. But I've also really tried to always, like, you know, be kind of the youthful version of myself, because, like, life is awesome if it can be awesome, and I love playing video games and reading comic books and going to amusement parks and, you know, all that kind of jazz. Like, the kid in me has never really fully gone away, which is probably also why I'm single. Thank you for asking. Have a lovely day. Who's up? Hi.
I'm really excited actually to talk to you.
A pleasure to talk to you too. Nice cosplay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I loved getting to see your dream come true of being Shazam. That was really exciting.
Thank you.
My question is, I love She Loves Me.
Thanks.
So what was your favorite moment on stage or off stage? Do you guys have a favorite?
My favorite moment on stage, I don't know. I mean, you know, I just love making people laugh. It's like the greatest drug ever. It's so fun. And like having 1,000 people, because roughly a Broadway house is about 1,000 people, and like making 1,000 people all laugh at the same time, or like all cheer at the same time. You feel kind of like a conductor, you know? It's like playing jazz with an audience. So any moment in that where, you know, it's just a good score for a laugh and just having people enjoying themselves, walking into the cafe and seeing Laura for the first time and putting together the weird, the white, I'm like, ugh, it's like that face. Like, that was really fun to do. I don't know. And then but then off stage, it was always really delightful. Like, for those of you who haven't seen the show or didn't see the show, the show starts, and there's some other characters that enter on stage, and myself and Jane Krakowski, we both entered from the stage left kind of audience, the aisle. It's a thing called an aisle. Anyway, and I got to watch basically everybody other than Laura, because she comes in later, start the show, and the orchestra and everything, and I was in the back of the house and I get to watch it, and it was so cool. It was so cool to just watch all of those incredible talents shine, and Paul Giamatti and the incredible orchestra doing their thing, and feeling the energy and feeling the people in the audience, like seeing heads bobbing and stuff like that. I was like, yes, this is why I got into this job, you know? To bring delight, to go bring joy, to make people feel good. So, yeah, I would say that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you
cheers.
so much.
Thanks. Yeah. And over here.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Megan. First of all, I saw Shazam like 4 times.
4 times, just like her.
I do work in a movie theater, but
Of all the people who has no excuse music.
I mean, I had to sell people tickets to the movie.
Yes,
too.
you did. Were you upselling them?
Yes, for sure. People were like, oh, I don't know what to see. I'm like, so Shazam, right?
Well done.
My question, also, you're my lock screen, by the way, too. You're my lock screen.
I appreciate that.
So my question was either, what is your favorite project that you've ever worked on, or if you can't pick one, what is your favorite moment on set of any of your projects?
I mean, I gotta say, and it's not just because it's the most recent, but I mean, doing Shazam, I mean, it's like the coolest, biggest, dreamiest, wish-fulfillingest thing I've ever gotten to do. Now, I've only gotten to do it because I got to do all those other things that have led me in my journey in my career, and I've been able to build on, and I'm insanely grateful for all of those other projects and all of the moments and all of the magic that happened in them. But as far as like a singular thing, being able to play a 14-year-old superhero is like so fun. It's so fun. I get to do all of the other actors for the most part, unless you play Spider-Man. Like Billy Batson and Peter Parker, as far as I can tell, are the only two main superheroes that literally enjoy their job. Everybody else is so bummed and cranky and moody and like, oh, I gotta save the world again, and we, like, I feel bad for all those people that have to play Batman. Not that they got to play Batman. I'm not sorry that they got to play Batman. I'm sorry that I know for a fact. I don't know him, but I'm sure Christian Bale was so stoked when he got to be Batman. And then as soon as the cameras start rolling, he's like, I'm Batman. And you can't even be happy about it. You can't even go there. I got to be so happy all the time. I was like, I just get to do this. Okay. And you're paying me for it? So I would say that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep me on that lock screen, girl. No water, really. Yes.
Hi, I'm Ella, and my question is, what is it like working with Jack and Asher
Awesome.
on set?
Those kids are so talented, so full of life. They're both really different and similar. I mean, I guess in the same way that, you know, preteen boys are all kind of all different and all very similar. Just like constantly smacking each other and like making fart noises and jokes. So kind of like me. But you know, but like Asher is, I don't know if you follow him on all social media. Him and his like 3 million followers. Anyway, but you know, he's like a little Justin Timberlake, like you know, song and dance guy. I'm like, okay. And he will be the next Justin Timberlake. And then Jack is the spazzy kind of like great young actor, like fully like invested. I mean, you can tell when he plays the role, like he's just so that is Jack. You don't see when you see Jack, you're seeing Jack. So to balance those two personalities, and we're doing a whole like Shazam press tour and all that stuff, was really interesting and really fun. Except for when like I'm trying to answer like a serious question, and all of a sudden I see them looking at each other like across the table, like making silly faces at each other. Pull it together. This is a professional press tour. What are we doing? Anyway, love them both. They're fantastic. Great question. Yeah. And over here.
Quick compliment. You are an incredible human being.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Question. Do you have any like weird secret talents?
I'm trying to figure out I'm sure I probably do. I'm just trying to figure out which ones are weird. What qualifies as weird, or what qualifies as secret, or is it weird because it's a secret? You know what I'm talking about? You see where my mind was going on that? Grammar, right?
I can sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" backwards, so it's like, well,
that's weird.
Not
weird, but odd.
Odd, yeah.
We'll stick with weird.
Something in that category.
I don't think so. I'm not a very secretive person. Like, most of the things that I do or do well, I'm like, hey guys, look at this thing, you know? So I don't know if there's that. I'm trying to think, like, I do a lot of, I don't know, voices and things like that a lot of people that haven't been able to do professionally yet, but I like doing all that stuff. But it's not really a secret so much. So I don't know, we'll have to think about that. Okay, great. Okay, cool, thank you. Weird. Well, I'm just entirely weird, so I think that. So all of them. Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, on the set of Shazam, like, what did you and the kids learn from each other or teach each other?
Well, what I certainly picked up from them, and thank God I was constantly being reminded of, was just to be silly. I mean, quite honestly, like, you know, as a 38-year-old man, there's a lot of things running around in my head, and my various responsibilities, and what I gotta do here and what I gotta do there. And when you're a 14-year-old kid, you have no responsibilities other than do your homework, perhaps, do what your parents are asking you to do, maybe some chores. But because of that, you don't realize just how unsilly you become the older you get. We forget. We forget how to be silly, guys. We forget how to enjoy. We forget how to make fun of ourselves. Like, be silly with ourselves. Know that if you do something wrong, you can laugh about it. A lot of us like, I had a mom who, God bless her and God rest her soul, like, when something would go wrong, she, not being able to really know and love herself, would react in, like, really harsh ways. And it taught me that if I ever screwed up, even slightly, I would beat the crap out of myself. Anybody else have, like, bad self-talk that they struggle with all the time? I know every hand in here should go up right now. At some point in all of our lives, we are beating ourselves up in our minds or in our hearts. And one of the beautiful things about those boys is that they have really parents that love them, and they were on set and they would be silly. They would be running around and smacking each other and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. When you're 14, you don't have all those responsibilities. You don't have those things where you feel like, oh my God, I have all this burden. So that's what I was constantly learning from them. And what I hope they learned from me was how to be a great actor. Well, you snooze, you lose. Okay. Yes, sir.
My question is, first, my name is Eric.
Hi, Eric.
I want to say I was like a big fan of Shazam. Like, me and my sister actually went to go see it like the day it came out. My sister actually.
Oh, is that your sister?
Yeah, she took me to go see it. Like,
is my face on your lock screen too?
No.